I could kick and scream all I wanted. I could complain on Instagram or Facebook about how I thought I deserved it or how I earned it. But that wasn't going to change anything. You have two options when something doesn't go your way. You can give up and complain, or you can put your head down and say, I'm going to make it work. And, that's kind of what I did. And I kind of had to make them say yes, I thought. I said, I have to make you say yes.
That was Sam Gilman today, back on the Running Effect podcast. He came on the podcast, I want to say about 2 years ago, when he was running for the United States Air Force Academy based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. And Sam has been on a tear recently. He recently placed 4th at the World Indoor Championships in the 3K in China, and he recaps that experience in depth in today's conversation. He was in the hunt for a medal with a lap to go and had a crazy sprint finish, which was so exciting to watch. He also has some news to drop in today's conversation. He got accepted into the WCAP program, and he will be training under Coach Mike Scannell, based out of Park City, Utah, from here on out, starting at the end of April. He's also run 7:34 in the 3K, which he ran on March 2nd. By Sam Gilman stock, people. He's also just so honest and vulnerable, which I always so appreciate because it makes the conversation so much better. And you guys are going to enjoy this one. I so appreciate Sam, his service to our country, and his dedication to his craft. If you do enjoy it, share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, someone who you think would find value and benefit from it. And with all of those notes aside, I hope you all enjoy this conversation with the one and only Mr. Sam Gilman. Mr. Sam Gilman. A lot has happened since we last spoke. No snowy mountains in the background this time. This time it's just Dayton, Ohio. How you doing, man?
Yeah, it's been a while. What has it been? 2 years? It's been a long while.
Like
yeah, I traded the beautiful mountains for the beautiful pastures of Ohio. So I don't know what people say about Ohio, but beautiful pastures. The Midwest makes you stronger, right? So yeah, man, it's good to catch back up again. Ohio's treated me well as it could treat me, and yeah, man.
Big things ahead. I'm curious to hear about, from your perspective, as someone who is not from Ohio, does Ohio deserve all the hate it gets online?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased because my dad is from Cincinnati, so we would always come up to Cincinnati for Christmas and have a lot of family in the area, which is really nice. And Ohio has a really soft spot in my heart. I would say if you're ranking U.S. cities, it's New York, you got to put that number one. But then Cincinnati, close second. And I think a lot of people would disagree with that list, but it's my list, so I don't care. It's mine. But I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan. Just sure right here. Big Bengals, Joe Burrow fan, of course.
Joey B, let's go.
Yeah, I've been able to see a lot of games. I've been able to hang out with my grandparents out here a lot, and I think Ohio gets a lot of hate. Some of that may be valid, but I've enjoyed Ohio. It's been really good to me.
What's the news that you want to share with the people?
The news right off the bat. All right, so so I just announced it on my Instagram. So I will be joining the Air Force World Class Athlete Program on the track and field. So I'll be officially representing the Air Force on my chest. I know I kind of unofficially do it in my races. I always talk about in post interviews, about my ties to the Air Force, my service in the Air Force, and also my time at the Air Force Academy. But to be representing the Air Force on my chest, to be going out and training under Mike Scannell in Park City, Utah, it really is a dream come true. High school me would be pretty pumped that I'm still running and training, and that's coming up to be a full-time job. There's been numerous challenges here in Ohio. It's been a big growth period for me, learning how to train efficiently and effectively while working a full-time job. But I've said this before. I think it was a necessary thing for me to go through, in the sense where there was just stuff I had to learn and struggle through that has made me a better athlete. And I think you've seen it on the track. I think I've grown mentally and physically, and it's given me another reason why. I think it would have been easy to say, I've got this job in the Air Force taking up a lot of my time, and I want to do and excel at it. But I couldn't I couldn't step away from running, and there were a couple moments and periods over the past year where it would have been easy to say, I just don't think this is going to work. This is too challenging. But I'm thankful I have the right people in my corner keeping me in it, and I'm thankful things have worked out in the right way, and Mike Scannell has brought me on board and taken me to this next level.
I remember in our conversation roughly 2 years ago, whenever the specific date was, somewhere around then, you talked about WCAP and the desire to join it, but you were very acknowledging of just like they're stingy of who they accept, and it might be hard to get off right off the bat. For you, now that you are accepted into it, what's the reflection of just like feeling proud of the fact that you didn't give up on yourself and that you trained through Ohio Winter and didn't have that many people to like push you? And, you know, what does it mean to you to make this dream come true?
Yeah. So like, I have like really strong memories of being in Colorado Springs at the Air Force Academy, right around graduation time, and getting an email finding out that I've been denied from the program, and just really being heartbroken. Like, I remember being pretty upset. Like, I didn't know how this was going to be possible. There were so many questions. I was going to be all alone in Ohio. But I think it's like I said, it's made me so much stronger. And there's been so many, reflection points that I look back into my career, like deciding to go to the Air Force Academy, deciding, if I'm going to continue running, where I'm going to run in college. And then like, this is another one, that have like made me a stronger athlete. Like, first of all, looking at my time at the Academy, like that was really important for me to grow as an athlete, but also a person. And I think especially like now you look at all the NIL stuff, you look at roster limitations going on in the NCAA, which my brother's a senior in high school. Like, I'm sure a lot of people are really worried about, nobody knows what's going on. And so, I think about, not to throw in a softball here to the Academy, but, it is my alma mater, and those roster cuts aren't flying to the service academies. And so, I think like if it wasn't for me going to the service academy, and having Coach Cole, who's still there coaching, we might not be having this conversation about my past year of running, right? So things happen for a reason, and that's kind of what I had to accept going to Ohio. I could kick and stream all I wanted. I could complain on Instagram or Facebook about how I thought I deserved it or how I earned it, but that wasn't going to change anything. You have two options when something doesn't go your way. You can give up and complain, or you can put your head down and say, I'm going to make it work. And, that's kind of what I did. And I kind of had to make them say yes, I said, I have to make you say, yes, you belong. And so I said, how can I make them say yes? And I made a decision to switch over to Mike Scannell this October. And, I think we made that possible this year. And like, that's just going to make me that much better going into World Outdoors this year when I'm able to train full time. I feel like there's always been an asterisk when I've been competing. It's like, oh, he goes to a service academy. Like, his days are really busy. Like, oh, he has a full-time job. Like, his days are really busy. Like, he can't train at a high level. Like, no more asterisks. Like, let's go in all the way and prove everyone wrong. Yeah.
Love it. So exciting, man. Speaking specifically on Coach Mike Scannell, like, that man has maybe had the biggest coming out party over the last year. Like, I don't think most people knew who he was 2 years ago. Can you talk to who this guy is and how he has fundamentally transformed your career?
Yeah. So Mike is a very interesting guy. And if you haven't had the chance to meet him, he's one of the most energetic people about life I've ever met. And Mike's been a great mentor, not only on the track, but also for life. The guy does it all, right? He's coaching a high school team, trying to manage a business, and he's also, coaching the best runner, one of the best distance runners in the world, objectively, right? So it's like you have to be pretty passionate about track and field and passionate about life to give so much energy to these things. And Mike has just taken my, like, he's given me that extra energy I need, training alone in Ohio, all by myself, getting up at 5 a.m., getting on the treadmill and saying, all right, this sucks, but Mike is waiting for this text after your workout. He's in Arizona. It's 6 a.m. Eastern time. He's probably already up, right? He's probably getting ready for high school practice. And so Mike is waiting for these results. And I think I needed a person, waiting and kind of in the trenches with me, even though he wasn't here with me physically. And so, like, I think it's funny that Mike gets the term of a high school coach. And I think a lot of people are quick to discredit him because he's coaching Grant Fisher, who is the most talented guy and one of the most hard workers you'll meet. So it's like, oh, it's Grant Fisher. Of course it'll work out. I think he's proving that it's not just I think it's one size fits all for Mike. He can train anyone and he can do it at a high level, and he's one of the best coaches in the country.
What would you say separates him from other coaches in your experience, as well as being friends with other athletes, knowing about other coaches? Like, what makes Mike different and unique and special?
Yeah, I would say just his ability to pour into athletes. I think he gets pulled in a lot of directions, like I just mentioned. But he's so caring, and I think it goes beyond wanting to see you succeed on the track. Mike just wants to see you succeed, right? And whatever that your goal is. I think Mike finds a lot of value, and I'm the same way, in helping someone reach their goals, whatever that is. And so I think we connected over that. And not everybody is going to connect to a coach like I do with Mike. Not everyone's going to find that connection with Mike, or someone might value somebody else doing other things as a coach. But for me, like that really stuck out from Mike. I feel like I said, he was in the trenches with me during these workouts. Like, while he wasn't there, like, he was giving me calls at 7 a.m. when the workout finishes. It's like, it's 5 a.m. there, man. Like, why are you awake, right? So, like, I think that means a lot, and I think like that's what sets him apart is he goes above and beyond as not only a coach but a person.
Speaking about Grant, I know you've trained with him a little bit. How special of an athlete is that guy, and how cool is it? I know, like, growing up, you were obviously a fan of the sport. We kind of had the Galen Rupp era a little bit, but like the U.S. used to be really darn good at distance, and we just have slacked over the past few years. And I feel like the hope of America distance running is on the shoulders of Grant Fisher. What's it been like seeing him up close and in person?
Yeah, it's been a real honor. I mean, I feel really blessed that Mike has taken me under his wing, and Grant has kind of done the same, allowing me to get in, some sort of training with him. Obviously, like, we're different athletes, and we're in different steps of our career, and so that it didn't always line up, or it's not always going to line up. But like having the ability to hop in some workouts with that guy is pretty special, and for him to like have the humility to say, yeah, like hop in or lead a rep, like that's only going to give me confidence, right? So that was really huge, and like to see him go about his business and see him work, it's pretty cool. He's a pretty special athlete, and it's I don't think it's obviously he's very talented, but there's no luck that goes into it. The dude is about his business, and he does everything right, even the little things. And I think that's the measure of a good athlete. So, I think about how this journey started in October. It started with me making a phone call to Mike, just reaching out, asking if he would take me on board this summer if I got accepted into the WCAP program, and it ended with him giving me a workout for the next day, and the rest is history, right? So I think it's funny how things happen, and I think God has a funny way of making his plans happen, and I think that was just an example right there.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of WCAP in the timeline, When do you officially leave Dayton? When do you leave Ohio? And when do you go out to Park City? And is that a bittersweet feeling, or is it a little bit of like freedom and relief?
Yeah, so my final out date at Wright Pat Air Force Base is April 21st. So I'll be going to my out processing appointment. For people who don't know how military works, I have to go through all my. It's not just like getting up and moving, right? I need to, out process from the base, from my unit, from my office. So my out processing date is April 21st. So I'll out process, and then I have a U-Haul scheduled. So rent a U-Haul, drive across the country on that Monday, and get there on the Wednesday. I already have a place picked out in the area, and yeah, that's the timeline right now. So pretty exciting. Maybe a little bittersweet leaving Ohio, but I'm definitely, I would say, more excited for the opportunity that awaits. Trying to hold my excitement back a little bit and live in the now. I think it's important to live in the moment and appreciate what you have. I feel very blessed to have a job and have people that pour into me in the office and care about how I'm doing. And so I'm trying to respect that and understand that, this is, I already have a great opportunity in front of me, and it's easy to look too far ahead, but focusing on the now.
Do you think you'll miss any of the day-to-day military Air Force obligations that you normally have, or not really?
I miss the people for sure. I think I'm a very people-oriented person. I'm not much of a nitty-gritty, process-oriented, Excel spreadsheet Word kind of guy. Like I get people who like refining processes, but I really enjoy, similar to my pouring into people, and valuing them. And so, I'm really going to miss my boss. I'm going to miss my coworkers, and other members of my IPT, my little group that I have in the office. I've made some really close colleagues and friends along the way. So, it's going to be tough saying goodbye to them.
I remember when we talked in college, even at that point, you were an accomplished athlete, but I think we both were aware, me as a fan and you as yourself, were aware that like there was a lot of untapped potential, and that I think a lot of what you clung on to was like that if you got it right on the day at an NCAA meet and the race panned out how it should in your hands, you could win an NCAA title. Never shaped out that way. I think you placed 5th at a outdoor 5K championship. So like you were in the fight, but I think that people knew the like classic Sam Gilman style kick, and you never really got to fully show that. But with recent time, I think has come the ability to run like a 7:34 in the 3K, place 4th at Worlds. But I think a lot of people who just looked at your results in college just on paper would be like, hang up the spikes. Where do you feel like your inner belief and confidence has paid off in the past few months in terms of just the whole history and context of your career, where it's like, I look at those results and I'm honestly not that shocked, because I think you were that type of athlete all along. You just didn't really get the opportunities to prove it.
Yeah. I think, first of all, that's a really good insight, because like I've been thinking the same thing for a while. Like that's a good question. So props to you. This is why you do it, right? You're on it. I mean,
Thank you.
So sorry, but yeah, I feel like I was always kind of hoping for the right race in NCAAs. You're dead on. Like I was hoping maybe it's a little slow, and I can close. My closing speed will just wipe the floor with these guys in the last mile, right? Like, and most of the time in these championship races, it was like that. And so like I would never do well in these big Brian Clay or other races where it was a time trial race. And I think that's also just me, personality as a person. I'm a racer. I'm not a time trialer. I want to race and I want to win and I want to beat you, right? Like that's what I live for. It's so easy to get caught up in times in the NCAA, especially in the NCAA, right? Very easy to get caught up in times. But at the end of the day, like it's called racing. It's not called time trialing. And so I think it's important to remember that distinction. So yeah, and kind of getting back on your point here, I think Coach Cole, he and I knew that there was a weakness that we needed to address, which was the aerobic ability and the VO2 max ability. And so, we obviously worked on that a lot at Air Force, and that was always, we were always pounding threshold and pounding VO2, but But I think I've had that extra, it's small percentages at the top level. And I think Mike has given me the extra 3 to 4 to 5% that I need, which is, obviously the new stimulus of the double threshold, which not only helps as a runner, but it worked really well with my work schedule where I could do 6 miles of threshold in the morning, go to work, and do 6 or 7 in the evening instead of doing 10 to 11 in the morning or evening before a full shift at work. So I think we really refined that process, which helped a lot. And then yeah, really getting the VO2 max down and the right speed sessions, I feel like has helped me grow as an athlete this year. And I haven't had to wait for the right race. I can run and kick in a 7:38 race. I can run and kick in a 7:34 race. And so that's been the defining difference. I haven't really missed this year. I've been shooting a lot. A lot of shots have been taken. I've raced a lot of races, and they've mostly gone pretty well. I opened up in 7:38 at New Balance Boston. I ran 13:15 2 weeks later. Then I ran 7:38 at US Champs and finally, 7:34 a week later. And then 2 weeks after that, I placed 4th at World Indoors. And it's like, I'm able to compete in these bigger races now, which is a big turning point in my career. In the past, and the pace can be fast.
Something I'm curious to hear about in terms of when we talk about your kick is your PR in the 100. And when I use the word only, this is coming from a guy who never scratched the surface of this time, but you ran 152.5, if I have that correct, in the 8, which is your PR.
Is that high school? I think that's a high school PR.
Is it really? Okay.
Well,
we'll have to update it. What's that? Do you know the official PR?
I ran in college 159 at an indoor meet at Boulder my freshman year.
Okay, so maybe this
is the PR. I mean, I think I've closed
it's just from high school
or 150 in a 5K or mile, but yeah.
Okay, this is important context. So I guess with an asterisk here, your favorite asterisk, with an asterisk here of 152 being run in high school, like I think with how fast you close, and you're kicking down, I mean, like it looked, and we can get into the world indoor race, like it looked like you were going to catch Jakob at a point. He was like a 140 guy, not 140 guy, but in the 140s.
Yeah.
And you don't have that time on paper. What do you feel like it is about yourself or your training that allows you to kick hard off of like already like aerobic paces?
Yeah, I think I'm naturally a strength guy, and I live for big races, competition style races that are a true bare bones. When you look at the race top to bottom, it's a race. Like I love races where I didn't look at the clock once. You're on the start line in across the world, 12 time zones away, in Nanjing, China, and it's just you and the other competitors. The clock isn't real, right? Like it doesn't exist. And I think I was really fortunate in that situation where, Mike was very fortunate that he flew out to China for that, and before the race he talked. And there was no way he told me you can't lose. Right? Like you can come in dead last and you really can't lose. People aren't expecting you to do well at this race. There's big names like Jakob and a ton of other names. You were 3rd at US Champs. People don't think you're going to do well at your first global championship. So put your nose in it and see how you can race. And I think, my strength, to answer your question, my strength is the thing that puts me ahead and allows me to have this closing speed, right? Like the strength at the end of the race has never been an issue. If I'm in the race and I'm in the hunt, like I'll probably be in that race to win it. And now that we've addressed that aerobic and VO2 deficiency with Mike, I'm able to put myself in a lot more races.
What did it feel like that last lap at World Indoors? Did you feel like you were flying?
Yeah, so I don't really remember much from the race, and I've never had an experience like that where I remember not thinking anything on the start line. I think that's like where like that's. I think I was very fortunate where I had my day where it was like it's very easy to get caught up. And Dylan Jacobs was my roommate, and I've never met him before, but it was really cool hanging out with him and meeting him on a little sidebar. Not to go on a tangent here, but connected with Dylan really well, and we talked before the race and how cool it was. Like to be teammates. We're both running for Team USA, which is really, really, really neat. And we talked about how on that start line, there's going to be a third of the field that has lost the race before the gun goes off, right? It's like they're nervous that it's a global championship. They might be dealing with a ding or dent. They can't handle the pressure. And I said, we talked about how like just being composed on the start line, you're a step ahead of a third of the field. It's like take a third of the field out. Okay, now we deal with 2/3 of the field, and it's like if you can put yourself in the race, you'll probably be in the top third of the field, and the other 2/3 of the field will be out of the race. Well, then you're talking about 4 or 5 guys with a lap to go, and like that's kind of how it was. It was Jakob, Awagawi, Kai, Dylan, and me, right? So 5 guys with a lap to go, and I felt really good. And I'm just with 100 to go, looking back on it, hindsight is always 20/20, right? But it's like I feel really good. I'm gonna go around Kai now and see if I can catch these guys. And I think it came back to bite me a little bit, and I think I get a little strong at the end of races. I try to muscle it out, and that's just that's how I've always been as an athlete. That's something that we need to address going to USA's this year on the outdoor track. But I still went for it, and I'm glad I put myself in it. I think it's going to haunt me for a bit that Kai got me at the line. As much as I like Kai and I think he's a great guy, but it's like, man, that would have been cool. Third place would have been pretty cool, but it'll come. It'll happen.
You were going for the win. You weren't going for third place, and I think that's increasingly rare in today's society. Not that third place is like a participation trophy, but it's not the win. And I think a lot of times, and this is, I think, just America being soft at not being good at these global championships recently. It's like we correlate medaling with winning, and they're not the same thing. And so kudos to you for having some balls to go for the win. And I almost feel like if you got third, you would probably be withholding the part of yourself from this conversation of like knowing that you could have gone for the win but didn't.
Absolutely.
And I think you'd probably rather go for the win and get fourth than go for the safe bet because your whole life has always been taking the risk. So maybe I'm wrong in that.
No, you're 100% right. That's a good way to look at it.
I was going to ask you about how do you feel like this indoor season raised your ceiling of expectation for what you can do in your career?
Yeah, that's another good question. I remember going into New Balance Grand Prix, my first indoor race after coming out of Flagstaff training with Grant and Mike. I remember Mike telling me that your body's really fit. You just need to get your head to believe it, and it might take a couple races. And I remember coming off a Grand Prix being like, that was the worst race ever. I mean, I PR'd by 4 seconds, but I feel like I just left so much out on the track. Like, I feel like I was like, and then you go to the 5K and I ran 13:15, 10-second PR, and I still thought, man, like I left so much out there. Like, I need to start trusting my body. And USA's, you start trusting and believing in yourself. And this sport is so much more mental than you think. Like, obviously, yes, you need to have the fitness to be there. But I think your mind pulls you the next 5% of the way, and 5% is a lot. When you're talking about a race of 13 minutes, right? 5% is a lot. So, Mike has given me the physical ability, and he's got my body right, and it's on me to get my mind right. And Mike was like, before the race in China, he said, your mind is good. Your head is in the right spot. You're not nervous. You're excited. Let it be that way and go run the race. And good things happen when your head's in a good spot. And so to answer your question, I would say the floor is definitely raised. Not only the ceiling, but the floor. And when your floor is raised, then a bad race becomes 13:15 instead of 13:45, and that's a big deal, right? That's a big deal because you can have an off day and still compete for the win.
Such a good point there. Such a good point. It's actually something I've thought about in relation to Grant. Funny enough, is like this is a concept I've talked with his college coach, Coach Miltenberg, as well as his former teammate Alex Osberg, where it's like the gap between Grant's good day in college and his bad day in college was so small. It was like a few places at NCAAs, and it's like those are the guys that are the best of the best. Where like their bad days aren't that far off from their good days, which is scary. So, is it pretty exciting to you to think that, like, 2 years ago, if I would have told you would have placed fourth at a World Indoor Championships, that could have been a career highlight 2 years ago, or maybe not. Maybe we were still thinking big back then, but. Like, I feel like you would have been satisfied with your career and could have moved on. And now it's just the starting point.
Yeah. I think it would have been a big deal for me 2 years ago. I think, funnily enough, I think it would have been even a bigger deal in the end of 2023, early 2024, when I was really struggling, when training, frankly, was not going well. I was injured, and I was, minorly considering a transition, because it was a real struggle here. And so to have, like I said, that low in that valley, and to come through on the other side, I think it was a necessary valley for me. There's going to be peaks and valleys in every athlete's career, and even if you're the best of the best, there's stuff and there's times where you're going to have to go out on a branch. And you're going to have a valley, and you're going to say, okay, how do I get over this?
Final question, or serious question for you. What's the takeaway message that you want to leave with the audience today? What do you want people taking away from the story of Sam Gilman 2025?
When I think about like what I was put on this earth to do as a person, I think I was put on this earth to inspire people and to motivate people. And I think I'm able to do that through my running. And I don't think, I think it would be a little pretentious to say I was put on this earth, I was born to run, like, because this, running has an expiration date. It has a shelf life, as Coach Cole, my old Air Force coach, used to say. But like inspiring people and motivating people, that doesn't stop until the day you leave this earth, and it even continues on. Your legacy continues on. So whatever anyone is going through in any part of or any stage of their life, running related or not, I just want my story to inspire and motivate people to get up and to fight, right? Like, I've always been a fighter. I've been a fighter my whole life. I was born with a cleft lip and palate. I've had multiple surgeries on my mouth and my nose. I went to a service academy and competed with a group of guys, and we made a goal that we're going to not only qualify, but compete for a trophy at the NCAA cross-country meet. And I qualified for a world championship while working a full-time job as a career Air Force man. And so I hope like my story can inspire one person today, and they can say, whatever I'm going through, I'm going to get through it. Or if they're not going through anything, they can say, when I do go through something, I'm going to get through it.
Super good wisdom, and always appreciate you being so open and honest to share those insights. And you personally inspire me, so at least one listener today walked away inspired, but I'm sure there'll be countless more. So keep it up, and I think the exciting thing for me is just, I felt this way 2 years ago, but your story has yet to be written, and I feel like we're just reading the prologue right now, and that's pretty exciting to me. And so congrats on everything. You deserve it all. My final question for you, off the track on a lighter note, how's the bracket doing, and any Final Four predictions the day before?
Yeah, my bracket, I gotta be honest, Dominic, coming clean, my bracket freaking stinks, man. It's terrible. Funnily enough, I went to China and I brought a burner cell phone because of my ties to the Air Force and the military. And so my mom sent me a picture of a bracket and said, fill this out, what's on your phone. So I opened the camera app or the Photos app and made little edits. And my mom filled out a bracket for me on ESPN bracket with my picks. And I think I had mostly upsets. I don't think I had any one seeds in the Final Four. So do with that what you will. It's not a good year for the underdog, is it?
No, not at all. Okay, no, it's not. Not to open up a whole nother can of worms. So you weren't allowed to really be affiliated with the military for safety reasons? Yeah, so
I didn't want to bring any personal items on my phone. I didn't know, what all I had on my phone in regards to work photos, work messages, emails. I didn't want to open that can of worms. So the advice I got from from people who briefed me before heading out there was to be safe. And I had a 2-star general, Lieutenant General Shipton, who signed off on saying, yes, you can go to China. She kind of stuck her neck out for me, and I said, I probably shouldn't mess this up. So I took all the safety precautions I could, and it was a very nice, actually, it's a very nice cleanse from the outside world, and Instagram and social media, all of that, right? Like I got finished with the race, and I had 3 or 4 texts from my mom and my dad, brother, and my girlfriend. It was like, this is kind of nice. Like, this is kind of avoiding, like, there's a huge high you go through when you finish a race, and when you have a great race, right? Like, everybody's texting you and congratulating you, and social media is blowing up, right? So, like, I didn't deal with any of that, and I had a week to decompress, or I had a couple days to decompress and then fly back home. And then my phone blew up once I
Yeah, how crazy was it when you turned it on?
It was hilarious. Yeah, I think I had like 450 messages on my phone and like 60 missed calls and 100 Instagram DMs. So it was really funny.
Jeez.
And yeah, it took me a while to go through those.
Good story. Good story to finish on. Sam, thanks again for your time, man. Keep crushing it.
Thanks, Dominic.